What's going on, YouTube? So we're doing another car review today, and this one's actually pretty interesting. We have a 2020, oh yeah, BMW 330i. So you know, it's virtually a brand new car. It has about 5,000 miles on it, which it's a brand new car. So in today's video, I just want to talk about like the new platform. This is the G20 platform of the 3 Series. What it's like to drive. I've driven it for about 3 days now, and I just want to discuss like what the car is like. You know, if it's a car that's worth the BMW 3 Series name, as like previous generations. The legendary E46 is a fantastic car. So is this BMW worthy of carrying the 3 Series name? That's what we're going to go ahead and find out today. So just by looking at it from the front, I think it's a very sharp looking vehicle. It's fantastic. I mean, the kidney grills, love it or hate it. Like the new 7 Series has the huge ones. These are kind of big. They're definitely bigger than previous generation cars, but I mean, they're not bad. Like, it's not as big as the 7 Series, so they're not in your face. The headlights are very cool looking too. They're very like sharp. The previous generations, like the E90 with the halos, they were more round, and then it moved on to the next generation 3 Series, which had the more, I want to say, square like halos, and these ones are just very they're pretty much square. If you look at them even during the day, they look very square. This particular one is just a standard sport line. There's a sport line, then there's the luxury line, which I believe is about $2,000, and it paints these the same as the body color, which if you see here, these are black. It paints some body color and it makes these chrome, so it puts more chrome. This one is more of a, this is like a base model, and then after that, for like, I believe it was $5,200, you have the M package, which, you know, makes it look very aggressive. It throws in a different front bumper, the side skirts, the wheels are different, and the rear bumper, so it makes it look more aggressive. Which, you know, if I was buying this vehicle, I would definitely go with the M Sport package. Even though it's about $5,000, it's definitely worth it, because it throws in a lot of stuff, like an appearance package. It gives you the M Sport suspension, which makes it handle better, I assume. And it just makes the car overall look more aggressive. Even though this one's not a bad looking car. I mean, it's got the dual, even though this is a base model, it's got the dual tips in the back. It's a pretty sharp, very good looking car in my opinion. The wheels that this one has, these are the standard 18-inch wheels, which if you look at them, you might kind of confuse them for the M wheels, because previous generations, the M wheels have looked like those. These are the standard 18-inch wheels that the car comes with. You know, doesn't matter which one you get, you'll get these as standard. Then if you upgrade to the M package, you get the 19-inch wheels, and then those you can either get them like these, silver, or you can get them in black. So you can definitely make this car look very aggressive. Now, while this car does look very good on the outside, the interior is where I think the car really shines. One more thing before we move on. These two flaps, I mean, as you can see here on the kidney grills, they're closed. The flaps are closed. Now, I believe once you get over 50 or 60 miles an hour, they open up for better cooling of the engine, which, you know, looking at it like this, at first I was confused. I was like, how does this engine, you know, cool at all? I mean, the only thing open is down there. But then I was reading up on it, and they actually open up, these center flaps right here, they open up at like a certain speed and a lot more cooling. So let's go ahead and move on to the interior. The interior, this is the key to the car. It's a pretty good looking key. I actually like the new keys. You have your unlock, lock, as always, it's always the emblem. You have your trunk pop, and then the alarm. There's no remote start on this car. I don't believe they come with remote start. Oh no, they do. So the remote start is an extra option. I believe it's $1,000, and it's an app you can download to your phone, the BMW app, and you can start the car through your phone. So it's not like, you know, like let's say a Corvette where on the key you just double tap it and it starts up. This one has an app that you download directly to your phone, and you go from there. So the car is currently unlocked. You kind of just push this little ridge right here, push it, car locks. So it's that easy. This car, virtually like every new car pretty much, you don't need to have the key at all. I mean, you just need to keep the key on you in your pocket or wherever you keep it. And then as you walk up to the car, you kind of just put your hand on the door handle, and if you just do it on the driver's, it unlocks just the driver's side. But if you touch like the rear side, it unlocks all of them. So opening it up, this car, the name of the color on this vehicle is mineral gray metallic, which is just, it seems like a very just, you know, standard color on this car. If I was gonna choose this, you know, get one of these, I'd probably get it in this very cool color called, I think it's Portimore blue. It looks like a very nice blue. It looks like Marina Bay blue on the M5. It looks very good. So that being said, this is mineral gray metallic. It's a standard BMW color. The interior is also pretty standard. It's just got the regular black interior, which this car has a few options. You could get it with like a cream interior. You could get it with more of like a caramel interior. I'd personally go with the cream, which is called Oyster. It makes the seats white. It makes the bottom of the dash white, and the door carbs right here white, which, you know, it could get very hard to maintain, but then again, it looks fantastic. I would definitely go with that one. So stepping in the vehicle, as you guys will see, this car has what they call the, oh my goodness, the wheel. It's called the iCockpit Pro, which is it's an $1,100 option. No, I think it's something Cockpit Pro, BMW Cockpit Pro, I believe. It's $1,100, and it does a full digital dash. So let me actually go ahead and fire it up. So the push button on this car is like kind of like an Audi now. You think on like the older BMWs, it's somewhere over here. It's actually down here. So foot on the brake and you just go ahead and fire it up. So there's the engine. I'm just gonna close the door. It's a very good sounding door. It sounds very solid when it closes. So as we can see, I'm gonna leave this on a little bit. It's kind of hot. That's the Cockpit Pro. So if you do not get this $1,100 option, which is a separate option, you just get regular gauges. I mean, they're still sort of digital, but you get like regular gauges. I'll throw in some pictures right here so you guys can see it. This is a really cool looking dash though. I'm not the biggest fan of like the RPM gauge and whatnot, just because like older BMWs, I prefer like the E46, E90 gauges where they're analog, but this is still a very cool looking dashboard. So, you know, if you click this button right here, that changes the right side. So as you can see, you have comfort, you have your MPGs, total distance traveled. It actually has a horsepower gauge and a pound-feet of torque. So if I just give it some gas, see, it moves up. It's pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's just a little gimmick, but it's pretty cool. So moving on, it also has a G meter, which is, you know, it's weird for a base 3 Series. It has a G meter, but it's cool. I mean, why not, right? So that's for the entertainment if you have your phone connected, which I do. I have Apple CarPlay connected right now. I gotta say, I've never used Apple CarPlay before I sat in this car, and it's fantastic. Also, that flickering that you guys see on the hazard button and on like the screen, that's not, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. That's just the camera it's something with the, I forgot what they were saying. It's like the LCD pixels or the refresh rate. That's what it is, the refresh rate on the camera. So sitting in here, it's a pretty nice seating. You know, it's a pretty nice seating position. I have it set to the way I'd like it. The seat does hug you a little bit, which is nice. You know, it feels nice. It feels like a very nice bolstered seat. So I'm gonna straighten it out a little bit. So that being said, on the dash, it looks cool. So down here, this is your whole like, I guess, controller for this. And cool enough, this is also a touchpad. So if you just click on music, you click on phone. I have it on CarPlay. But if you click here and then you go to BMW, that's actually the main menu. So we have media, you have your phone communication, navigation, car apps, everything. So what I have it set to is, you know, obviously Apple CarPlay with my phone, and I use Waze. So I haven't really messed with the whole system here, but I have been messing around with, you know, Apple CarPlay, and it's fantastic. It works very well. It's an instant. I mean, you click it here, you know, it's instant. It moves very, very well. There's not very much lag, which like older systems, this is very quick. So you click, you know, vehicle status, everything is good. You can check everything from here. Driver profiles, this one has a guest profile on it. You can obviously set up your own thing. So this center thing right here, this is the shifter. So a lot of people I know a lot of people in the original, they call it the joystick shifter, came out in 08 in like the 5 Series. They weren't a big fan of it. The 5 Series, X5, X6, all those had that. And a lot of people weren't a fan of it. So what happened was, I guess they, you know, they decided to stick with it. I mean, it's been a while now, so I guess people have gotten used to it. But there's still an unlock button. You push the unlock button, you push it down for drive. Now we're in drive. I'm gonna put my foot off the brake because it has the auto hold. Then you push it up for reverse, and there's the backup camera with the parking sensors. It looks very cool. You can also mess with the camera image up here, you know, brightness, contrast. You can turn off the lines and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's not as like in-depth as like, let's say a 7 Series would be, or the S-Class, a Mercedes S-Class, where, you know, you have the top-down view and all that. But this is fairly good. It's a standard backup camera. I mean, every new car has standard backup camera, so this one's no exception. Down here we also, I'm just gonna, if you put it in drive and you move it over this way, now you're in manual. It automatically turns off auto start stop. It just turns it off. You flick it back on, it turns it back on. So park, you just push the button, the car's back in park. So let me go ahead and go back on this screen right here. There we go. So this is your parking brake. Whether you love it or hate it, they're all electronic now. Auto hold. So this system is very cool. This is the first time I've ever encountered this system, and it's a very cool system. So you're stopped at a stoplight, and if you have your auto start on or off, it doesn't matter. You just stop and you can let go of the brake and it holds it, and then you just give it a little bit of gas and the car takes off. It's a cool system. It's definitely a very gimmicky, in my opinion, but it's a very cool system. You know, if you're in stop and go traffic and you keep stopping, you don't have to keep putting your foot on the brake. You don't have to like hold your foot down there so your foot doesn't get tired. Down here we also have these modes. These are pretty cool. So we're gonna start right now. We're in comfort, which is like the base mode. You know, that's what the gauges look like. Now, if you put it in Eco Pro, it changes the gauges. So I'm gonna go back. That's comfort. This is Eco. It tells you Eco Pro, fuel efficient driving. So that's actually the MPG. It changes the RPM gauge to an MPG gauge. Oh, I'm sorry, focus, go ahead. It changes it to an MPG gauge. So you know, if you have it set like 65 miles an hour, you're on a trip, the car usually gets like 40 miles a gallon, which is fantastic. So that's that Eco gauge. Now, my favorite, if you switch it into sport mode, it changes it to those, you know, dynamic driving. So it changes it to a more aggressive looking RPM and miles per hour gauge, which is cool. It's definitely a cool gimmick. You know, the gauge is changing. A lot of manufacturers doing that these days. Mercedes does it, Audi does it. So it's definitely a cool gimmick. You know, it's just something cool to see. So here's your controller. Like I said before, this is a touchpad. You can mess with it with your hands, but if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to get your fingerprints all over the car and whatnot, you can just mess with this. So like you press home, it takes you back here. You press media, it takes you here. There's Spotify and all that stuff. So it's all cool. So there's CarPlay. I'm back on CarPlay. So all that's cool. I feel like there are some missing buttons here, which I'm pretty sure, because this is a base model, this just has the convenience package, which is about $2,300, and it turns on it brings in parking aid, the blind spot assistance. It also has the distance, like a vehicle in front of you, if you're traveling too close to a vehicle, to warn you. It has all that. Now, the next package step up is around $44,000, I believe it is. It's the executive package, or no, it's the convenience pro. Yes. It throws in more things like a better active blind spot monitoring system and whatnot. And then the biggest upgrade you can do is the executive package. It's $5,900, and it throws in a bunch of things, which it's too much for me to list right now. I have it written down somewhere. It has all the things that this has, and then more. And then it's just an upgraded version of this. So it has like, I'm guessing it has like Mercedes' version of Distronic cruise control, which is you can follow a vehicle. You know, you just set the cruise control to behind a car, and this vehicle will follow it. It'll slow down, speed up for you. So yeah, here we have the climate control, which these feel very nice. They feel like actual metal. I'm not sure if they are, but it feels very nice. So I have the AC on right now. This is not a touchscreen, but you just mess with it with the buttons. This one has the heated seat option, which is $500, which is kind of ridiculous. I believe it should come with the convenience package. As soon as you get that, it should just include it. But I mean, what are you gonna do? BMW, it's BMW. So like I said, that has heated seats. You can get cooling seats, I believe, on these. What else is there really to discuss? It's a very nice interior. I think the black is just a little too boring, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's very comfortable in here, I would say. So it's not for the tallest people, but if you're an average height, I'm 5'11", so for me it's all right. I have a seat, you know, not too far back, but it's also not, you know, I wouldn't really have somebody very tall sit behind you. And we're going to talk about that right now. We're going to move on to the back. So shutting the car off, you just push the button and everything shuts off. As soon as you open the door, And these are actually very, very nice feeling door handles. They're metal and they feel very solid. It's not like plastic, like cheap plastic. Also, I forgot to talk about the wood in here is very nice. I very much like it. This is also, you know, you have cup holders in here and there's wireless charging in there. So yeah, wireless charging. There's a USB outlet. There's a 12 volt. You lift it up here. There's also an outlet in there. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop out and we'll hop in the back of the car. So hopping in the back of the BMW, the 3 Series, as you can see, the legroom is not the best. I'm going to sit down. This is my preferred driving position that I like to sit. And as you can see, the legroom is not good. Just, you know, saying it bluntly, it's not the best headroom. I'm going to go ahead and close the door. So yeah, I mean, you know, headroom also is all right. I mean, I'm not touching the top of the headliner, but I'm very close to it. My friend was actually sitting here earlier and he was touching it. So he said it wasn't the most comfortable thing, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, I feel like there should be a little bit more legroom. I believe their C-Class is bigger than this one in terms of like legroom and whatnot. So let's go ahead and move on to I'm gonna talk about the engine. Under the hood of the 330 is BMW's 2-liter single, they call it twin powered turbo engine. It makes about 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. And I gotta say, this thing, it gets up and goes when you put it in sport mode. It's pretty quick. So it has a 15.6 or 0.9 gallon fuel tank, which is not bad for, you know, a smaller compact car. And it weighs around 3,600 pounds, which is, you know, I mean, it's kind of heavy, but it's pretty luxurious. Now, from what I can see on here, it seems like there's a lot of space. The engine is, I believe it's mounted on the axle. It's like mid-mounted because it's definitely sitting way far back, which is, you know, it's very cool. It's a very good handling car. I drove it around the few turns today around here, around the canyons, and it drives very well. Around the turns, it's not, you know, it's not an M car, so it's not going to, you know, you're going to feel the body roll and everything. I assume with the M Sport suspension, the car handles even better. And this is a pretty good handling car. BMWs have always been good about being good at, you know, handling and whatnot. So let's go ahead and get on with the drive and we'll talk about more how the car is. What is going on, YouTube? So let's go ahead and hop into the drive and we're going to talk about how the car is. So putting it in drive, let's go ahead and take off and see how it does. So go ahead and getting started. We're going to start in comfort mode and we're going to move on from comfort. We're going to go to eco and then probably sport. So in comfort mode, the car feels great. It feels like it feels like a very solid car. It's not, I don't want to say the car is like, you know, it's perfect, but it's definitely a solid feeling car. Go left. The transmission is almost instant. You don't even feel it shift. At times, I'll just look down and I'll see just the gauge moving. I was like, wow, I didn't even feel it shift like right now. I believe it's an 8-speed dual clutch, but I could be wrong. It definitely feels like it could be a dual clutch. It's that quick. So yeah, that makes for a very enjoyable driving experience. You know, there's no bunch of clunking back and forth. It's just instant. So it feels great. The car feels great to drive. The steering is fantastic. I want to say it's very, very connected. I believe it's definitely electronic steering, so it's not hydraulic, but it feels very, very good. It feels good to drive. Definitely, especially on long trips, it feels good to drive. My one gripe with the car's interior on long trips is that these seats get kind of uncomfortable. They're very good bolster seats, so they hold you in well. But for long trips, I'm a little bit bigger, and I kind of see a little bit out of the seats, if that makes any sense. And it kind of starts hurting like the bottom of my legs and kind of the side, like the side of my back. Which, you know, it's not like a big problem. I mean, I can live with it. That's not really an issue. But, you know, it's definitely something worth mentioning, especially if you're planning on buying this and driving it for a long time. You're definitely going to notice it for a long time. But if you're just going to drive this car for a couple years, I don't really think it's a big issue. Now, that being said, everybody's different. You might, you know, hate that. So that's the whole point of what I'm trying to get across here, is that this is a nice car, but it's far from perfect, which I don't really think there are any perfect cars out there, because if there were, everybody would be buying them. So we're here in comfort, and I just stopped, and there it is. I have my foot off the brake and it's holding it. So, you know, go ahead and moving on. The car takes off great. The auto start stop is kind of weird. I don't know how, I'm not a fan of auto start stop, to, you know, say the least. But the system in this car is all right. You can definitely feel the car start back up. A couple of my friends were like, oh, I didn't even know it shut off. But maybe it's because I'm a car guy. I noticed the car shut off and start back up. I don't know. It's just, I've never been a fan of start stop. I think it messes with the engine too much. So I'm not the biggest fan. You could definitely turn it off, which is, you know, it's a great thing. There's a button right here, you just push it and it's off. So it's not like it's an issue that'll cause problems. You can turn it off at any time. So, you know, that being said, it's a noticeable system. There are cars out there that are more like, you don't even notice them start back up. This one you do. So that, keep that in mind. If you're a person like me who hates the start stop system, this system will bug you because it's very noticeable when the car does it. So like here, I'm gonna stop. Oh, it's not gonna do it now. Okay. It's very weird. It'll do it like if you stopped it for more than 5 seconds, I believe the car will shut off then. But if you're just like I was at that stoplight, it won't shut off. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the car in eco. So putting it in eco mode, it changes all the gauges and it starts shifting a lot quicker. It starts throwing the car into, I believe it's highest gear, into like 8th gear, the faster than it would regularly, just because it's trying to save a lot of gas. And like I showed you in the interior clip, the car does throw itself into the RPM gauges get removed, and all you see now is like an MPG gauge. So it's blue and it just shows me how much I'm getting per miles per gallon, which is cool. I mean, you know, I prefer the sport mode, but there are people out there, like when I just took the car on a trip, I took it about on a 150-mile trip, and I put it in eco mode and the car was fantastic. It drove great. I got about 40 miles a gallon, that's great, you know, compared to my S-Class. This thing is fantastic. But you know, that being said, my S-Class is a V8. This is a little 4-cylinder. So there it is. It just shut off right now. So I'm going to take my foot off the brake and let's go ahead and move. See, I don't know if you guys can pick it up. I just picked it up. The car I definitely noticed the car starting back up and going. And you definitely notice the transmission more in eco mode. It definitely shifts a lot faster, and I don't want to say faster. It shifts quicker into a higher gear, so you notice it more. When it's in comfort, it shifts by 1 gear, so it'll go like 3 to 4. I believe in eco it goes like 2 to 5, 5 to 8. So it shifts pretty quickly because it's trying to get you in the highest gear to save the most gas. So I'm not a fan of the eco mode. It's cool on long trips like what I did, but here it's more of a gimmick and I'm not the biggest fan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it in sport. There it goes. It downshifted into a better gear. So you hear it a little bit more. I don't think there's any valves within the exhaust that you can hear, but you definitely hear the vehicle a lot more. So I'm also gonna put the transmission in sport mode, and I'm gonna shift it myself. So now we're in first gear. So we're here at a stop. I'm gonna do a little pull once we move, just because the car feels very good. So let's go ahead and. It feels quick. I mean, for a little 2-liter turbo at 255 horsepower, it feels pretty solid for a car that weighs like 3,600 pounds too. I didn't really, you know, you kind of step on it and there's a little bit of lag and then the thing takes off. So yeah, it's definitely a quick car. For a city car, this car is great. You know, it's a little 2-liter. You have enough horsepower to keep up with keep up with traffic, you know, if you need to pass anybody. It's definitely, you know, it's not the fastest car out there. I'm sure when BMW releases the 340 with the twin turbo inline 6, the car's gonna be much faster, obviously. But as of right now, you know, this is not a bad car. It's a great alternative. So what I also forgot to mention, I guess, is when you put the car in sport mode, it turns off the start stop feature automatically. So you don't have to do it. As long as you drive the car in sport mode, it turns it off for you. So, you know, even better that it does that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on it again. Now this is just automatic mode. I'm gonna put it in sport and I'm gonna step on it. So it downshifts pretty quickly. And it shifts definitely a lot further up. So, you know, it's a quick car. I'm not gonna say it's not a quick car, but you know, it's also not the fastest thing out there. If you're getting in this expecting I guess M car performance, you're not gonna get it. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder. But you know, I'm not sure about the aftermarket scene on these. Maybe, I don't think there really is one because the car's so new. I'm not sure if there is one. There probably is though. I mean, people are very quick about it. So yeah, just sitting at the stoplight, I can't even tell that the car's on. It's that quiet. It's, you know, for my liking, I would want it to be a little bit louder, just because I'm, you know, I like hearing the engine, I like hearing the turbo. Speaking of the turbo, actually, this car, you can hear the turbo pretty well. So for all those car guys that love hearing, you know, superchargers, turbos, if you roll the window down and you give it gas, you hear the turbo spooling up and you hear it, you know, feeding the engine. And then when you let go of the engine, if you're in manual mode, when you let go of the gas, you kind of hear it go like, so it's pretty cool. You know, it's a little gimmick that maybe BMW threw in there just for us car guys and car gals. But I don't know, you could definitely make it louder, you know, just cut the I don't know, the pipes out, the cats out, and make this thing loud. But I don't think that's really what this is for. This is more of, you know, a little city car. It's definitely a cool little car to drive around in. It's, like I said, probably not, you know, my first choice, just because, you know, I'm a Mercedes guy, but this car has definitely impressed me. I'm very impressed by this BMW. I wasn't a big fan of the last generation, but this one's fantastic. I really like this thing. This thing drives great, feels great, it's quick. So yeah, that being said though, I'd probably still go with the Mercedes with the C-Class, just because, you know, I like the interior more on the C-Class. I think there's better amenities than this one, but to each their own. If you're, you know, an Audi fan, you're gonna say, oh, Audi's virtual cockpit, which is their, you know, infotainment screen, is better than this one. The C-Class just got that. So, you know, if you're a fan of Mercedes, I'm like, oh, that's better. I like, preferably me, I don't really pick favorites. I like all of them. There's definitely upsides and downsides to all, you know, to all of them. Now, I'm saying Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. There's other competitors, obviously, from Japan, like the Infinities and the Genesis cars, which Genesis, the new ones are really cool. But I'm just comparing their direct competitors, which is Mercedes and Audi. So I want to close out the video just by, you know, I want to ask you guys, would you go with this car over the other two? Or would you prefer Mercedes or Audi? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section why. You know, if you're a longtime BMW fan, this car might bug you a little bit just because of all the, you know, all like the I want to say gadgets. That sounds a little weird, but like all the quirks that the car has, like this digital gauge, it's cool. I'm not the biggest fan. I would prefer the RPM to be like kind of in the center so I can see it, just because, you know, I'm a car guy. But like I said, to each is their own. Whatever you prefer. Definitely do test drive this car before buying one and look at the options. Let's go ahead, go on BMW.com and configure one, make one, and see, you know, what you like. If you want just a base like this one, this one I believe retails for this specific car is about $47,000. Car starts at $40,000 for a 330 and about $42,750 for a 330 Xi, which is the all-wheel drive. That one's cool. I definitely want to drive one of those and see how it compares to this one. So, you know, yeah, definitely go ahead and let me know in the comments what you guys think about the car. Would you buy one, or are you gonna wait for the 340 or the M3? I'm excited for the M3. I really want to see what BMW does with that car. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. So thank you for watching this video. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think about the car, and go ahead and subscribe. I'm definitely gonna try to get into a C-Class and into an A4 and see how this compares.